Okay guys, let's continue. So today our class is about es6. The es6 is the version of the javascript which was created or upgraded in 2015, right? ECMAScript, ECMAScript 2015. So if you go to the GitHub and in JavaScript section 4, right, es6. So these are the topic, right, we will cover, okay, in es6. So let and const. What is let and const? We are using already, right? The let and const is used for creating variable, correct? Not exactly, right? Let is variable and const is constant. Both is used for storing the data in memory, but let is variable and const is constant, and we will look at the difference just now. But after that is arrow function. This is just a way to create a function in es6. We'll look at that. Template literal. So we'll see the benefit of template literal. Default parameters. What is that? We'll talk about that. Rest parameter and spread operator, right? Operators or operator. Rest parameter and spread operator. Okay, we will look at that. Destructuring. So how we can destructure the object and array. We'll look at that. So classes, right? Okay, so class we will talk about. We'll just talk in our tomorrow, right? In the object oriented. Okay, let's keep this one for object oriented. Modules, we'll look at that. Modules, promise, async await, and try catch, right? These are the things we're going to talk except class. Okay, so let and const declaration. What is declaration? Declaring the variable, right? Or the way to create a memory. Let and const. This is the new way, right, of creating a memory. And this was introduced in es6 2015. Okay, so let allow block scope variable declaration. Block scope, right? Let allows block scope variable declaration. Const declare constant that cannot be reassigned, right? I mean, we all know, right, how to create variable let and const, but a few things I want to talk about. Okay, so let's go back here. I'll just call it here class1. Okay, so let, see what happened when we do let x equal to 100. With let, why let is a variable? Because we can reassign value to left, to the left. When we creating a memory with let, you can reassign, right? And let's do console.log x. Okay, so if I just run this code, right, F5, you see we reassign the value 200. Let me do one thing, right? I'm gonna bring up my browser side by side, okay, and go live view, because I connected to my HTML, so we can see the result here also, right? Inspect and console. Okay, so I don't know what is the error, but you can see if I refresh the page, right, you can see 200 there. Okay, all right. So we understand now, right? Let is a variable and the value can be changed. So every time when in your code if the value need to be changed, you must use let. Okay, let's look at the const y equal to, let's call it pi, right? Pi is a constant, 3.1 for whatever, right? Okay, if I go back here and I say pi equal to 300 and console log now, right? What's gonna happen? I save, I get error now. Uncut type error, assignment to constant variable. This is a variable but constant variable, means how constant work. Constant, this is a constant. You declare variable, this is pi, right? The name is a declaration. You declare the variable const pi, and this is the s initializing the value. Also same time, you cannot reassign the value, you cannot do that. Okay, so now you can see the answer, right? So that's the difference between let and const. They are block scope, right? If I go back and let's say, let's copy this, right? I remove it from here and I will put in a block, okay, like this. And I'm trying to access this now outside of this bracket. What's gonna happen? See, the pi is not defined. Look at here, cannot find now. Why? Now we can call it let and const is block scope. That means if you define let and const inside the block, what is block? This curly bracket is block. If you do that, then you cannot access outside. Okay, you cannot, right? You cannot access outside. Clear? So you can see x is not defined, right? Here already x is not defined. But if you have var, right, var g equal to 200, and let's try to access g, and because the error is already here, right? It did not, this is the first error, so it did not reach to this line. So what I will do, I will just copy this and put it maybe on the top and answer, right? So I get undefined, see? So that is working, that is working. But if I put it here, I will get what? I will get 200. Look at here, g is 200. So when you create a variable with var inside the block, you can access that outside the block also. So the difference now is let and const is block. Let and const is block scope. So somebody asks you, that's the answer, block scope. Means if you define inside the block, you cannot access outside. That is the block, right? But remember var, that is a global scope. That is, it is presents inside the window, right? If you type here window, if you go to the window, right, enter, and then you're gonna find that g, I mean, this is the z, right? So you have to go all the way down somewhere to find MNOPQRSTUV here. Yeah, here, look at here, right? So that's the window, that is the global scope g. One more thing you have to remember, you define any variable inside the function, like inside the function, right? ABCD like this. Okay. So now they are, I mean, they already block. This is already block, right? This curly bracket is a block. But the Z, just remember all the variable becomes just scope to this function only. You cannot access outside now. You cannot, right? No, you don't have access to that part. G is not defined. Look at it. G is not defined, right? They all are inside the function. Just remember, something is outside or inside, either inside the function or outside, right? So if something is outside, you can access, you have access to anywhere, right? But if something some variable, something means what, the data, the variable is inside the function, you cannot access outside. Okay, you don't have, right? It does not matter, it's let's say cons, late or var, right? Does not matter, you can only access inside this function, or any function is there inside this, right? Let's say there is another function, call it y maybe, right? So abcd is the parent for this y function. So if there is a variable in the parent, child function can access now. Child function can access. Okay, so x g can be accessed here. So if I do console log, right, console dot log x, that is okay. So I just have to call y now here, because you can only call inside the parent, right? Remember, anything inside this abcd is stay within that function. Cannot, like, you cannot call here like this y like this, you cannot do that. It's just inside the function, remember. Now, right, if I call abcd here like this, let's see what I get. See, I get 100 because x is 100 here, right? So I call this function, it will create the memory blocks for all these variables. Then this function will be in the memory. Then this function runs, right, when you execute. And because this function has all this memory, and this function is running, it will get the access, it has access to this parent variables. Okay, so that is all right for the, I hope that is clear on the variables. Okay, fine. So let's look at the next one. So let me go back here. So you can just read through, practice that a little bit. So what is arrow function? So arrow function provides concise syntax for writing function, just the way of writing function. We also call it fat arrow function, fat. So this is a fat, right? How you write, like this is a fat bracket, and then that's it. That is the arrow function. Okay, so this arrow function don't have any name, right? So we always assign to a variable. So const add equal to, like that. So you assign the variable, right? Const add, and you put the fat arrow function to the add variable. Now you may have a, b, this parameter here, and then you return, right? Just return, or if that is one line, you can just put a plus b, right, like that. But let's write the normal arrow function first and return a plus b. Correct? That's it. Now I can call this function here, console.log add, and I can pass, now there is two parameter, right? So I can pass 5 comma 10 and run this code, right? Save, and you see the answer here. So you can see the 15 now, right? Because we just called, everything is same. Okay, the only way you writing, right? The rest of the process of function is all same what we have learned before. Remember in the JavaScript before, right? There is three different way you can write function. Function statement, correct? That was the normal function. The way you write is like this: function subtract, right? That is the function statement. That is one way. The next was function expression, which you are using always, right, in your coding chat, when you coding. Remember function expression, how you write, const, let's say find maybe square, right, equal to, like that. That is expression. Why expression? Because you're assigning the function to the variable. That is expression. Something whatever here. And the last third one was anonymous, right? Anonymous, I believe that is the spelling. Anonymous, right? And the way you write is just a function. Okay, nothing, no name, nothing. So sometimes you just need function one place, the only one place, right? Then you can write it like that. You don't need to call any other place. Then just an anonymous function. And what is the benefit of this, right? So that means there is no name collision. If you using the name everywhere, same name for function, that is the name collision, right? That is not a good idea. So if just need to do one thing, right, in a certain place, you can write it anonymous function and finish the work. But now, from now on, right, you always want to use the arrow function. So it's best. Call it, that was the arrow function, right? We also call it fat arrow function. Fat arrow function. You can see the examples here. So there is few things to be noticed, right? The basic arrow function with one parameter. Okay, let's talk about this arrow function with one parameter. So for example, I have a arrow function, this one, right? Let's copy this, no need to write. See, there is only one parameter. Remember, you can write a parameter like this one, right? Simple enough. So when you have only one parameter, you don't need bracket. You can just leave it like this. So this is how we can write. If you only one parameter, you can remove the bracket and still it will be okay, right? That is good. So, but if you have more than two parameters, you must put the bracket and you must put a comma here, maybe parameter 2, right? Parameter 2 like that, comma. Same way, same, the other process is same. But if you only one parameter, that's it, no need bracket. So you're going to see sometimes without bracket. That is the reason. Okay. Next one is arrow function with implicit return. What is that? Implicit return, right? So that means you're just returning one value. Okay. For example, this code, you are just returning the square of the number, right? So because this is one parameter, you just sending one number like the one value, right? You just need one parameter like that. And how you gonna make square? By just multiplying parameter, means this variable times variable, right? So when there is one return, only one value, you don't have to write return like this. You don't have to do. Okay, you don't have to do it. Just make it like that and it's okay. Or you don't have to do bracket, like here, right? If you do bracket, then you must put a return. Okay, you have to do it like this. The reason we need a bracket is if there is a multiple line of code. But if we are returning one value, all this will be gone, right? No need all this. So that is called implicit return. Implicit return. Okay. So these are the three different variants in arrow function. And if you know how to write this, right, this will be good enough. But sometimes, just for this information, right, you will see without brackets here, returning something in the same line. That is the part of, that's the benefit of arrow function. Okay, template literal. What is template literal? So remember before, right? Okay, template. I will remove this or maybe comment out. So what is template literal, guys? So before, if I say I need to add two string, how you gonna add, right? Let str, right, equal to 1 and let str2 equal to 2. How you gonna add this to string? So console.log. Now you're gonna put like this, right? Bracket, no bracket, str plus, and then you want to add space between, then you're gonna have space here, empty space, plus again, and then str2, right? 2. Okay, so that's how we used to add the string before, right? But after es6 came, what happened? Now if you need to, let's say you need to display here something again, like to maybe add two number, right? 5 plus 6. Now you adding the number to the string, right? It's not gonna work, correct? Let's see what happened. Okay, let's go to the console. This is already console log, right? Let's look at the result. So look at here, what you get 1 2 and then 56. 5 plus 6, these also become string. Just so add together 5 6 like that. So how you going to solve now? In like to put string and the number like variable right together in one place. How are we going to do that? So that's the concept of string literal. So string literal is backtick like that. Okay, that is string literal. That's the symbol of string literal. Backtick. Where are you going to find? Left top corner right below the escape keyboard. In your keyboard, on the left side on the top, escape, just below the escape, right? I think, I think one next to the one. Okay, the first key on the keyboard, that's the backtick. So how we use now, right? I mean, you can use it very easy. Console log backtick like that. Now I'm allowed to put this string easily here. How? So let's call it hello some string here. I can put, it's okay, I can add space. Now variable, if I need to put variable, I put dollar sign and bracket like that, str, that's it, space, and then again variable str2, dollar sign, str2. Look at that. And now I need to add something, right? Maybe 5 plus 6, does not matter, I just put 5. So how am I gonna put? I cannot write like this. If I put like this is still string, right? let's look at let's run this, save the code. See, hello 1 2, you can see the answer, hello 1 2 and 5 plus 6. But I want the sum, right? Sum. So always remember, if you want to insert variable or any mathematical things, just put the dollar symbol bracket, right? And here 5 plus 6. Save and look at that. So what is this dollar symbol curly bracket 5 plus 6? What is that? We're going to use this a lot in our React and Next.js, right? This allow us to write JavaScript code inside, like insert the variables or write functions. If you need to write a JavaScript, right? These are just the string, okay? That's fine. But still you are adding JavaScript variable here. If just a string, that is okay, right? But if that is part of JavaScript, like you want to do calculation, you can only calculate in JavaScript. In that situation, you must put the curly dollar symbol, curly bracket, and write your JavaScript, and then continue with the string, right? So that's how it works. So that is called template literal, correct? Template literal. Just the starting symbol, right, and closing symbol, and in between you can put either string, variable, function, whatever, right? So make sure when it is JavaScript code, you must put dollar symbol, curly bracket. Okay, so next one is default parameter. What is that? Default parameter, right? So we have a function. Let's talk this one. The definition is, the default parameters provides value in case arguments are not passed to the function. So what I will do, I'm going to paste here. Look at here. Normally what we do, right? This is the parameter name, correct? And then this is the greet function, very easy. Console log hello, that is string literal. Look at that, and write dollar symbol. Now you understand that why dollar symbol, bracket, all that. We just call the parameter here, that is our variable. So see, in this function call, I'm not passing anything. But here I'm passing the name, right? Value. I'm passing the value. So let's run this code and check. See hello, and then I get undefined. Right? Because if there is no value for this name, then the variable has undefined value, correct? And here we get hello John Welker, right? But let's say if I don't pass any value, I still can make this default value here. Call it let's call it maybe maybe what is the name, right? Anything. Let's call it Apple. Save now. Hello Apple. Look at here, right? If I don't pass anything, then my default value will be assigned here. So this is called default parameter. Parameter with pre-assigned value, already have value. So if you miss it, if you don't pass anything, this will be assigned. So that is called the default parameter. Now you can have any, you can have any parameter, does not matter, same way it works, right? Same way, let's call it maybe num. It's okay, right? You just have to pass now here, let's say num equal to something. If there is nothing, then if you just calling the num here like that, what you will get, refresh, you see undefined, look at here, right? But I can make the num default, maybe 10. Save, and look at this, 10 10 I get. So for this one is 10, this one there is nothing, I didn't pass anything, I can pass here maybe 100. It's okay, right? So now I get 100 to this one and 10 to the first one because I'm not passing anything. My default value is assigned. So that is called default parameter. Parameter with something default value. All right. So let's go to the next one. What is next? So the rest parameter and spread operator now. So basically, we can call it rest and spread. Let me comment out all this. The rest parameter and spread operator. What is this, right? So both work with the, both has the operator which is 3 dot. This is the operator, right? 3 dot is the operator, but they are used in different contexts, in different situation. Okay, right? So parameter, rest parameter, when it is used in the parameter, so where we have parameter inside the function parenthesis, here this is the parameter, right? So if you put something like this in the parameter, that is called rest parameter. Okay, so let's understand this one first. I'm just taking simple example, right, to understand exactly, like just make it simple as possible to, because lot things to learn, difficult to remember, right? So I hope this will help. So now see, I'm calling this function, right? When you call this function and you pass lot of value here, 1 2 3 until 8, right? And you have how many parameter? 1 2 3, and then the d is 4 only. So the a gonna take 1, b gonna take 2, c gonna take 3. What gonna happen to all this one now? So by adding this rest parameter and the parameter name d, all the remaining value will be assigned to this d, and it will convert to array. It becomes array, right? Array of numbers or array of any data type. Okay, so let's console log and see. Look at here. So you have abc, right? that is 1 2 3, and then the 4 5 6 7 8 now is added inside the array. If I go back here, right, I just console log d only, or maybe okay, let's console log d, right, d save. See, all the remaining numbers added inside the array and stored in the variable d. That's the rest parameter, rest. Now we can talk about spread operator. So how it works? Let's take this one. So look at here. I mean, there is a use case. Sometimes you will see, right? If you need to capture, if you don't know how many of this value passing to the function, you don't have idea, right? In that situation, you need to capture all this data. How are you going to do that? I'm not sure you're going to create all these parameters, like 100 of parameter. No, just add the rest of operator and you got the whole thing, right? If right, let's take this one example. Okay, this is you passing all the numbers, so many numbers, right? And I ask you to add all that. How you going to do that? I mean, basically you remove all this. Now you have the array of d is the array now, right? Can we now, if d is the array, can we just loop like a for loop? You know, let I equal to 0, I is less than d dot length, correct? I plus plus, and then we just add, right? So let's put here let sum equal to right now 0, right? And now I have sum plus equal to d square bracket I, because d is array of all this number. I can index 0, I can get first one, second one, and keep adding, right, until the loop runs. And after the loop is done, I'm gonna console.log sum. See, and now let's look at here. You see, we get that 36 here. That means it added all the number and give me that sum. So that is one simple use case we see now. So anyway, so let's continue here. What is spread operator now, right? So I have an array like this. I have an array, right? And I want to add all this value in the second array. So I can just call this dot variable. That's it. All this will be added in this array 2, and console log array 2. We look at here 1 2 3, and here is 4 5. So when you use in this way, that is called spread operator. You just spread the value, all the value in the second array, right? Or wherever you want to put that. Okay, so that is called spread operator. Same thing work with object also. If you have object at obj here, let's call it name equal something like that. Save, and maybe you can put right anything. Okay, whatever, right? And let's say you have another object obj2, right, like that. So this is this is the object, empty object, but I can copy all this, right, all this value here. What happened? Dot obj. Okay, and let's console log now obj2, right, and see what happens. Console.log obj2. Okay, so you can see now, right, I just copied the complete value of this one to here. Okay, and also I can add the extra value here. I can add, let's say, age, right, equal to maybe, let's put it 45. Save. Look at that. So I copied the previous value and I update the new value, right? Even I can change the school now to different names. So I will change new school equal to maybe ABC, right? And look at that. So the school value changed to ABC. Look at that. I can update the previous value from here. So the later on, right, whatever you add the value later, because object can have only one property, school can be only one time. So the later value will be upgraded. Okay, means replace the old one, right? Old. So that is called spread operator. So we understand parameter, spread parameter, right? Sorry, rest parameter. That is called rest parameter. Okay, rest and spread operator is here. This is spreading, right? Spread, and the parameter rest will be parameter. This is called rest parameter. Rest and spread. So when you spreading the value, that is spread, and when you using in the as a parameter, right, to capture all the values of the function, then that is called rest parameter. All right, what is the next? We done. Okay, the next one is destructuring. So see, this one, destructuring is very important. Okay, always we're gonna use all the time now in our React Next.js in the future, right? This will be used always. So what is destructuring? If you look at the simple definition, destructuring allows extracting values from array or object into distinct variable, right? Let me just copy all this and explain quickly. Very simple. Just understand here, right? Okay, so we have. I can comment out. No need. Because there is same variable, age and age. That's why it was error. So let a equal to, this is the array, correct? Now if I need to read this value, the index 0, index 1, right? How we used to do console.log array square bracket 0 index. Okay, that was the first value, and same thing you can do for the 1 index, a square bracket 0, right? But if you can destructure it, how you gonna destructure? This is the array, right? That is just something like this. So that's the array. That's the array. A is what? Array. So you can create you can just create like the new variable let, but inside the array like this. So that this is the first variable, or let's call it maybe x and y, right? Equal to a. That's it. So now if I console.log x, let x equal to 2. This is same we writing let x equal to a square bracket 0. That's the same, and y equal to a square bracket 1, index 1. Exact same. Okay, this is called destructuring. Now x should give us 2, and if I just console log y, we will get 3. So let's run that. I mean, I just save, right, and you can see the answer here. 2 and 3. Look at that. Now same thing with the object also. This is the object, right? Name and age. So you can destructure. I can even put name here, name like that, and age is okay, right? I mean, you can use the same name as a variable as well. It's okay. This is the key, but you can also use as a variable. So object variable is this value. So you call the object. Now name and age, you must match, right? when you're destructuring the object, you must match the name variable with the property name, so that when you call age, it should give you 45, and when you call name, it should give you Dev, right? So let me save. So I need to call, okay, I need to call this Dev also to get the answer. Oh, sorry, name. Save, and you can see here I get the value Dev, right? So that's the object destructuring. This is the array destructuring. So you can create a variable in one line, and this is one of the very, like, in the React you will be destructuring all the time, okay, most used, right? So just simple way try to understand this will be okay. Basically first value, second value, right? If this is the array, that's the first, will give you the first value, and second will give you second value. Const first and second, you can just call the console.log first and see what we get. You get one, right? One, because the one is here. All right, so that is destructuring. Now modules, what is modules now, right? What is modules? So to use modules, we have to use this type modules in our script. So let's put it there, right? Here, attribute type modules. You know, the remember, the modules is basically the code, right? Written separately in separate file. You can do import and export. Okay, you can import. You don't want to write the whole programming language in one page. You don't do that. You know, later, right? When we start using the libraries, you will see the code are written. We create different files for different function. Okay, a lot of, you know, we write separately, right? And then you import wherever you need, just call that function. Okay, that is import, right? For example, if I go ahead and create a math.js, right? For example, let's do that. So that is called module. So I just read math.js, and this is the math. You know, this is our math here. So we can call the add function. This functions. So you have to write export, right? Like that, export const add function. We know that, right? Just need to put export in front. That's it. This is the variable you are exporting, right? So here in script, let me comment that out first. Here you can import, right? Import, and like that, add, you know, see, from, right, dot slash math. That's it. Now I can console.log. I can call this add function, and it needs two number, right? So I can put 5 comma 10 and just save it. Let's look at here, right? So it says something, I know this es6 class 1 math, right? Error aborted, not found, right? Why? Okay, so I have to put this yes, right? Because it did not compile. I mean, right now we have to write the whole file name, but later in the library, right, in the React, you don't have to put all this like .js or ts. You don't have to use, because there is a compiler already, right? The webpack or whatever, you know, they will be used. They know how to detect all this file easily. But in this case, we have to write the whole file name. So you see the answer now. What we have done, we create the math.js file. We write this function here, and we export it, right? So anywhere I need now, I just call this import like that, and then we use this function now. I can call it anytime, does not matter, you know, console.log. Every time I need, I just call that function, and I pass 500 comma 50, right? And save, and that's 550. So it's working, correct? So there is 2 different way you can import or export, right? This is called name export. When just exporting the name, right? That is called name export. So you can import like that and use it. Okay. Yeah, same thing. Now even you can put this function here, right? Let's put this function subtract. You just import now here. So coming from the same file name, so you can just call it, subtract like that, and see this will tell you now a b any. I mean, you just need to value a b, right? So console.log, and I will put 100 minus, sorry, just put 125, and it should give me the value, right? So if I here, so I get 125. What is that? Console log. I didn't call the function, right? Subtract, and pass that to number. Okay, now save, and 75 I get answer. So my subtract function is also working. All right, so we can do that. So the two different way means this is the name import export, but there is default export, right? Single variables, you can only do default one time in one file. If you have default export, that will be only one in your one file. Okay, you cannot do multiple, right? So here I will comment out this. I mean, you can leave the subtract, right? Leave, because I'm using the same file name, so I will comment that one. You can add multiple name export. Okay, you can do that, but when you have default, that is only one. Now you cannot create multiple default in same file. That's it. So this is the export default function add. This is the same function, but only the export default now, right? We added the default. How we import that? There is no more. It will not gonna work now. If I run this, look at here, right? You get error. Okay, because it did not find the add, right? So I will remove this. Okay, and now because I don't have this add, if I comment that out, that's 75. That's okay, but I will import now. Import add from same thing, like math.js, like that. That's it. Now I can uncomment this, right? And it give me error. What is the error now? Oh, I need to put dot here. So the file name correction, like fetch properly, right? Go to the parent, and then from there you get math.js file. So see, this is the default import. When you are importing default, it works like that. So that was the module we learned, right? Module. You can just practice this. All right, now we are getting somewhere. The So what is callback, guys? Callback. So you have function, right? You have any function. Let's call it maybe callback, right? Let's give it callback name, right? Yeah. Okay. So this function needs something, right? You're gonna maybe this function takes two number. Let's say a b, right? And we can return a plus b, like that. So you have another function here. Function, right? Function find sum, right? Something like that. And you take another function here, right? So now you're passing the function here, okay, and then just executing that function, or maybe console log. Let's console log. Console.log. Simple enough. This function. That's the function like this. So you just this function, you know, you just call that function inside and execute. Fine. So what we can do now, find sum, right? Sum, fine. I'm going to execute this function now. Find sum. But this function needs the value as a function, so that will be callback function like that. We're just calling that function, right? So the problem is now, right? That is just a function. The function need to value, right? How it will get the value? I mean, we can create here. Let maybe anything, right? Let x equal to 10. For now, I'll just add something here. Okay, does not matter. Y equal to 20. Something I'm just creating. So you can pass, because this function, right, when you calling this callback function from here, this function is passing, that functions need two value, a and b, right? So you must give that one. So you must give that, x and y, and that should be fine, right? Save, and let's see if we get answer. Something we get 30, right? Look at here. So that's the callback the function you just call, right? Or the function which is passed inside another function, that is a callback. Okay, so the callback function will be useful later when you have to deal with the asynchronous async function, right? Or something, like step by step. If you want to make a coffee, right, there are steps. You don't put like sugar first and then heat the pan, put sugar, then later you're going to add water, and later you're going to put coffee, something like that, right? There are proper steps. In order to, to take proper steps, the one way to do is using calling the, like, call the function later, right? After one step, another step, like that. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about is set timeout. Okay, before we move to the next topic, set timeout, right? So what is set timeout? This is the API of the browser. Means this function is inside the browser function, not the JavaScript. This is a browser function. This is a function but work in a browser, right? This is not part of any JavaScript. Okay, we're just using the browser function. So this functions takes two things, the callback and the timer, right? So callback function here like this, I can write arrow function, simple enough. That is callback function, first parameter. And second parameter is timer, right? Like, let's put it 2 milliseconds. Okay. So the callback function is arrow function. We know that fat function I just wrote here. I can say console log, right? Console.log, and here I'll put after 2 seconds. Okay, like that. So I can put here console log. Let's call it start, and I will put here console log in, right? In. So this will print after 2 seconds. Look at here. I'm just like simulating, right? Delay. I'm just making something do after 2 seconds. So let's run this. Start in, and after 2 seconds, I got that, right? I will refresh again. Just watch. Start in, waiting, and then coming back here. So I can use this later, right, to delay something. Because, for example, let's say we have to fetch data or download a lot of images, something, right? This JavaScript does not wait. They will go from top to bottom, quickly finish all the work. But if this function is in the middle of the whole program, and then it has to go to the internet, to the maybe Netflix, and download the movie and come back later, right? Just keep downloading, and when it is done, then it will give us to, it will give that file or properly save the file in our hard drive. It takes time. So do you think if you are using JavaScript, right? If the whole program is finished, then what's gonna happen to that download? So something which takes time. For that reason, we call asynchronous programming. There is synchronous, okay, synchronous programming, right? I mean, spelling is not correct. Let me see. Just call it sync here. Synchronous, CHNORO, something like that. Synchronous, SYNCHRONOUS. Okay, existing or occurring at the same time, right? Synchronous. And there is asynchronous, async, right? Like that. So async means asynchronous means what? Not existing or occurring at the same time. Okay, controlling the timing of operation by the use of calls, whatever, that is telecommunication. But it does not, async means does not have to happen on the same time. It can happens later in the after sometimes also, right? It's okay. So this is what we're gonna learn, async. But let's go back, right? First, we now we understand synchronous. So this is synchronous. This is start in synchronous. They just finished. This is asynchronous. So we simulate asynchronous by adding timer here, right? Set time. We just use set timeout and then run this synchronous code, this code after 2 milliseconds. So we will, like understand how this happened inside the browser, right? Means this line finish, then this will run. Okay, I mean this will run, right? But it will wait until 2 milliseconds. So what happened in the meantime? Look at this callback function. That's why it has a function. This function will go in the browser somewhere and wait there. And when all the synchronous work is done, then that function will come back to the call stack and then run this code later. Okay, later, right? Because JavaScript has only one call stack. All the code must run inside that one. So they all go sit there, wait in the line, in the callback queue, and there is a process, there is event loops and all that, which will push this to the call stack later, and that code will run. If there are many set timeouts, many, right? For example, this here I can copy this. So put here like that, and I will change this. I'm making, let's boil water. Let's make a coffee, right? So boil water, okay, 2 milliseconds. Now after that, I'm gonna add coffee, something like that, okay. And then after that, let's maybe 7, add sugar and milk, something like that, and serve, right? So after maybe 9,000, serve, serve coffee, right? And serve a coffee, right? Something like that. Okay, so let's do that here. So you see that it's saved already. Boil water, then add coffee, just add sugar and milk and serve a coffee, right? See that the whole things happen step by step. Means when you have to take care of some work in the sequence, then we have to apply the process of asynchronous programming. Async means some things happens after sometimes in the step wise, right? Or step by step. Now you understand async, right? Already. Okay, let's get back to our course here. I mean, here is one problem, right? One problem is, I will just copy this quickly and then show you. I mean, you understand now, but let's look at the code, some basic code which is going to help us to understand more. So this code, what is here, right? Look at here. Okay, let's look at this one. This is just a function, okay? Get user, right? This function returns the array of some user, like inside there is an object, two object, okay? Good. So that is get user. So if I need a user, right, I'll just call this get user function. I mean, here is the like stored data already, but in the future we might have a function called get user. That function will go to the online like API and get us the data from there, right? So that will take some time, but right now we just have this. That's good. Some data from here. Now find user, right? Another function called find user. So username, I will give you the username and find the user details somewhere from here, right? Like I have a username, just give me the information about that user. That is the name this function will do. So when I call this function here, console of find user, I will pass John, right? So I have a John here. I need this object back. So how am I going to do that? First, I will call this get user function. I just call here inside this function. First line that will return. I will get the whole array. This array is stored in this user variable. Now I'm going to use find function. So this is same like the, remember the es6 function also, right? We did the map, filter, reduce. Similarly, this find function also work. This function will take a callback function inside. Look at here. And because I have only one parameter, right? Sorry, I just returning one line of answer, okay? So what this function does, it will take from this array, it will take each item at a time, one time, stored in this parameter, user. Here you can remove this bracket also, because only one parameter, you can even remove bracket is okay, it will work, right? And then it will check. The first item it will grab, it will check user.username is equal to username. So from this user object, dot username, that is John, so this will return John here. John is equal to whatever I pass here, right? Username, that is John. If that is true, then it will just give me that whole object stored in this user variable, and I return that, right? Good. That's it. If I call this function, pass the John, and I will get the answer, this object. So let's here, right? Let's look at that. You see that I get that object John with the email and all that. If I add more user here, right? If I add more user, and let's call it maybe Dev, and then Dev, like that, right? And if I go back here, second one, and I pass here Dev, I'm looking for a Dev, right? Let's see. So you have, I get that, I just call that find user function, and it will first, it will get the data from here. When you call this function, it will return that array stored in the variable, and finally you just run the find function to get one answer, one item, right, from that array. You can use filter also, but filter will returns the array, right? Filter, what happened with filter? Filter will give you the new array, but here you just get the data inside. Find will give you the data inside from the array. Okay, that is the difference. Okay, so that is the, because this is synchronous, we have a data here, it does not take times, everything works perfectly, fine. But let's imagine we getting this data from somewhere, it will gonna take a lot of time, right? So I can put here, let's say, set timeout. Just like we're gonna do some, what do you call that, like simulate the delay, right? So I'm gonna return this after 2 milliseconds. I just put this return inside, right? So remember what gonna happen now. Every time you're gonna call this get user function, say, so see, we get undefined now, right? Already cannot read properties of undefined reading fine, right? Look at here. We are trying to read this console log. You can console log and see what we get, right? Console.log users, users. So see, you get undefined. Undefined means this function did not give you the user. You did not get the user on time, right? You did not get the user on time. So now you don't have the user array. So this will give you error now. So that's why you cannot find anything here. It's just error already. Okay. So it just takes some time to return this one. Okay. That's the problem now. That is how we're gonna solve this, right? How? So the one way we can do is by using a callback function. So let's go back here. Yeah, we can improve that little bit, right? So let's do that. Make it users here, and then you return, or just basically not return but assign to the user, right? So let's do users equal to, and then return, right? Return users. Okay. So what we are doing is after 2 milliseconds, we assign this array to the user variable, which is here, and then we sending this user. But remember, function does not, the program does not wait for this one. Okay. In synchronous, it will not wait for this. It will just return this user, which is empty array, and that's what happened here. Look at here. You just get empty array. So when you find through here, just user, basically empty array, right? You get the empty array. All right. So that's what happened, right? If I remove this, that is undefined. So now we have nothing, there is nothing, just empty, undefined, right? Earlier this was empty array, and try to find this undefined, because that zone is not inside that array. Inside this array is empty, because it's gonna take time and you're not gonna get the data here. It's just the empty array, and try to return something from empty array with find, will return undefined. So that is the issue, right? Because when it takes some time to fetch data, you cannot do it in a normal synchronous way. Synchronous programming will not work. Now we learned async, but the first solution is callback, right? Callback function. So how callback work? Let me copy this and try to put it here now. I will comment out all this. We saw the callback earlier. I explained and set timeout. So now let me go back. So look at the same get user, right, function. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pass that data to the callback. When this function set timeout expire the time, right? Expire the time after whatever 1 second, 2 seconds, then this callback function will run. Only then the callback function will run. Okay. That means what? This callback function will get the data and it will do the job, right? Fine. So now we have the another function called find user. Here, find users, right? Console log John, and also console log, right? This is a function, console log. You can send it like that, is okay. So get user, you calling, see what happened, right? find user functions takes two parameters, username and the callback, right? So the callback, again, the here is two callback. Okay, the one callback is this one to print something. That is what here you pass in that console log. But look at here, get user, I'm talking about this one right now, get user, this function, and there is a callback. That callback will run after 1 second. So that's it. Here is the get user, here is arrow function, callback is what, function, right? So get user, and you pass the whole arrow function here up to here, right? Look at that. So this highlighted function will run after 2 seconds. Okay, so that function gonna get the value, the users, right? This callback function, you are sending this data. Look at this data, that is users. You loop through that users with the find, basically find method, and if the username matches, it will return, right? It will return that user. And again, you have another callback here, that is console log. Either you put the console log here or you can use the callback. Okay, right? So it will just print that user and it will work. So let's do that here. Look at here, we find that answer, right? So no matter how many you have here, like username, let's call it Dev again, and Dev. So if I go back and even see, this is okay, right? Callback is okay, but you can remove this one and also add the console log here, it will work. It's okay, let's leave it like that. And I can pass the matching name called Dev and save. So the first one is done, and you find the Dev also. So that's the callback. Callback function runs after 1 second. Before, right? Before, after 1 second, we were just, saving the data to the variables here. But by that time, this function already runs. This function is gone, run, right? Already run. And that function has nothing. The only left is empty array. But with this one, now we just calling that function, the function itself after 2 milliseconds, means we're calling that when you call the get user, right? You're gonna have callback function inside, and that function will run after 2 milliseconds. Okay, this function will run after 2 milliseconds. So means after the timer expires, and when that callback will go in the call stack, then only this will run. So that means it has available the data also there, because we are passing the data same time. And that means when this function runs now, it's gonna have data and it will do the whole job, like finding the users, all the process jobs, means completing whole process here, running that function, returning that value and all that. So that is the one way, right? Using callback function to solve the asynchronous program. But let's say you have same like making coffee. If you want to make a coffee and there are many steps, right? After returning this data, then do the next step, and there will be many callbacks. Means after completing one callback, start another callback, then another callback, right? That is called callback hell. It's not a good thing, right? So what happened is we have to, to basically not use the callback functions to handle async. There is something new introduced in es6, and that is called promise now. Promise, right? So guys, I think we have done a lot of today. Let's look at the promise little bit, and then we're gonna stop. So the promise is basically the object, right? And the promise is used for handling asynchronous program. Okay, especially for the async program, we're gonna use promise. And how promise is created? how it works, we're gonna look at that quickly now. Let me comment that out. Promise. So that is the last one. Promise, async, await, and all that. But all is part of promise now, right? That is the last one left. Promise. So promise is JavaScript constructor function. This is called construct function. Or JS construct, or maybe we will learn tomorrow, right? Or maybe day after, whenever we have. If we're gonna go through, let's keep it the whole promise tomorrow, and then we're gonna do the next day object oriented programming. Or little maybe if we get time, we'll do tomorrow also. We'll see. But promise is basically the construct. Let's call it constructor function. Okay, constructor function in JavaScript. Promise. The promise are object that represents the eventual. What is the definition of promise, right? The object. Promise is an object. Okay, when I say object, remember that curly bracket. This is the object. So it will create some kind of object also, but that object is what is inside the object. So here is the definition. The promise are object that represent the eventual completion of failure or failure of an asynchronous operation. So eventual completion or failure. So for example, if you're fetching data from the Netflix, so either data will be complete or failure, right? Eventual means in the future, at the end, right? Either you're gonna get the data or it will be fail. So that's what the promise object represents. So we can write something like this. Let's call it let promise, right, equal to object like this, and there is status now. The status can be either pending or success, pending, success, or maybe fail, right? Like that. So there is three different stages of the status. Let's say when you're fetching data, right, the object will be created. That object is waiting in our browser. It's just sitting there, right? That object has, let's say it's in the process, so we can call it pending, right? Pending status. Then when it is complete, then there will be also data and all the informations inside this promise object, and the status will be changed to success. Okay, so why promise is so good thing? Because it will handle the whole process, from requesting the data, then it will wait for the data. So there will be eventual completion or failure, means either it will complete the process or it will fail, but we have the result. Either it will tell you, okay, I failed fetching data, try again, something like that, right? Or you have the data now, you can use it. So that's the definition. Okay, so this is avoiding the callback here, right? So they allow you to write asynchronous code in the more readable and manageable way, avoiding the callback. So simply, I mean, we're gonna learn, right? Because we are trying to learn the promise object, and how we write and all that is here. I mean, how you're gonna create the promise object is, so this is the like base of the promise, right? Very like details. But in the future, you're not gonna write the promise in this way. Okay, we're gonna use something called async await, very simple way. But you have to understand, right, what we're getting. Even async await, how this work, it work based on the promise, based on this concept. Behind the scene, right, they are doing the same thing what we do here. So how you write create promise? Const my promise, right? Let's call it my promise, whatever. This is a variable. Promise equal to new. So this is the constructor function we're going to learn in ES, in the object oriented. So to create object from the constructor, you have to put a new keyword here, right? And then that's it. So this is the constructor function. Adding the new keyword, it will return back the object. This is the object. So this function takes the callback function, that is something like this, right? Arrow function we can write now. Good. This callback function has two parameters, basically three, but let's keep it two, right? Resolve, resolve, reject, reject, right? This parameter is also a function, correct? So if something is true, just imagine we receive the data, right? That is condition true, then it will run the resolve function. So let's call it data is fetched, right? So the resolve function can have our data, right? Else, let's say it failed, so there is false now. Then we're gonna run the reject, it will run. Okay, so try again. Data is failed to fetch data, something like that's it. So this is a reject, right? Reject. Now how you gonna grab the data and all that, how you gonna do that, right? So that's how you construct the promise. Now promise states, promise can be in the one of the three states: pending, fulfilled, or rejected. Remember, processing or fulfilled or rejected, that is the name, right? The states will be status, or states will be pending, fulfilled, or rejected. Okay, so that is the status, right? So if that is fulfilled, then we're gonna get the data. Pending means still in the process, and rejected means, so fulfilled will be run this resolve, rejected will run this one, reject one. Okay, but how you extract this value, right? Then you're gonna do this, my promise, that is the object, dot then method. Okay, then method, right? And then methods takes the callback again, and there you're gonna get the result, right? So let's make it result. I mean, anything you can write here, result, and console log, console.log result. Let's see now what we get. And also then, I mean, also there will be error, right? But for now, let's leave the error. Let's look at here what we get. The data fetch now, right? See, data is fetched, then method. Okay, so if I make it false here, what gonna happen, right? False. So see, then method, promise try again, data is failed, right? Look at here, we get the error here. Try again, data is failed, here we get the message, right? But how you gonna access this message? Then here dot catch, you can write here, and you can call it error object, right? Like this. So, and then you're gonna do console log error. Just do that and save. And something went wrong. What is the mistake now? Okay, cats will no, it is not that way, right? So we're gonna have a callback function here also. So we're gonna have error, and then console.log error, run, and we just grab that error, right? Because the result will be in the then if success, and you can grab the error if there is something wrong in the catch function. So this is one way, right, to deal with the promise data. Anyway, guys, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna stop here, and we will just what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue tomorrow, right? Testing await and the other things. We're gonna fetch the data from a remote, like from the API and all that. So let me pause here.